kind of come at this any way you want, but I foresee this becoming a growing, I don't want to say issue throughout the US, but it's going to become more top of mind as we become more electrified. And obviously the conversation is going to be on the generation piece of how are we going to get all the power for, as Bitcoin mining grows, as AI grows, as data centers as a whole grow. Do you have any thoughts on that emerging, you know, I don't necessarily want to call it a fight, but there's going to be some conversations to be had, as generations going to become more and more important here.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be really important for planning purposes, right? So some of the challenges that we are seeing in different pockets of the country right now, particularly where you have a large concentration of these data centers, is that the utilities had a hard time projecting the load growth that was going to occur as a result of the deployment of these data centers. Where I live right now in Northern Virginia, we've got a situation where Northern Virginia has done yeoman's work to attract a lot of data centers. It's actually called Data Center Alley. There's a region in Loudoun County, Virginia, where you have a ton of these data centers, but they're huge energy consumers. And the incumbent utilities there, I think, did not accurately forecast the pressure on load that all these data centers, coupled with the residential growth that comes with data center growth, coupled with the ancillary jobs that are created alongside these data centers, the utility wasn't ready for all that. And the end result is there was the possibility of curtailments. The utility had to come into the grid operator with an emergency tariff amendment to build about $5 billion worth of transmission lines to make sure that they could meet the increasing demands for power. And that scenario is going to pop up in more and more places around the country. And that's why it's going to be important for planners to understand what these loads and load increases are going to mean for grid operators. And then I think, again, back to that core piece I mentioned about permitting reform, about getting infrastructure in place. Where's the generation going to come from to supply all of this power? If we're going to continue the trajectory we're on of retiring coal plants and nuclear plants are struggling to compete economically, we're going to rely more and more on natural gas to work in conjunction with renewables to provide this power. Well, we got to get pipelines in place to make sure that gas is available. And in certain regions of the country, I'm in New York right now, throughout the Northeast, the primary purpose of natural gas in the winter in particular is for heating. And so now if you're relying on natural gas, both for heating and for power, and you've got constrained capacity because we don't have enough pipelines into New England, into the Northeast, that's going to be a huge problem. And so to the extent that you guys have operations in that region of the country, grid operators need to understand and fully plan for the demands that you all will put on the system.